Well, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Bea Oakley said she stayed up way too late. Britt made it in. Heathen. Wiz said it's 18 degrees out here. Woo! I told DT Driver this morning we're going to be cooking out this weekend. It's going to be 72. 72 degrees and sunny. And yes, Pamela Tate, justice for Evelyn Boswell. My goodness. 5 years we've been waiting on this. 5. It has been one shenanigan, charade, delay after another. And then in Megan's infinite wisdom, she decides to change attorneys. Because she wants an attorney that will do what she wants. Well, the forensics say this was not an accident. We can definitely look at the timeline and realize that Megan at one point loved her daughter. And then she met Hunter at the chicken shack when he said, I want children someday, but not other people's children. Well, next thing you know, this supposed accident happened, and Evelyn wound up in a trash can. Let's take a second and tell everyone good morning. All right. If you guys were in any of the Facebook groups or still are when Evelyn's case went down 5 years ago, and the speed of justice is only one person's fault, and that's Megan's. I know there's still people that are saying, well, with COVID, we don't have court. Yeah, they had court every friggin' day. Good morning, Diana. Good morning. Well, hello, Charity. And look at this. Marlena was gifted a membership. Katrina, Indy, Carrie, my 3 sons, everybody except Britt and Walking Dead. I'm telling you, but go ahead and grab your umbrellas. I have a feeling it's going to rain a lot because people are very invested in the case of Evelyn Boswell. A lot of people forgot about it. Okay, we're different around here, okay? Even though it's 5 years ago, we're on the brink of trial. Get your umbrellas. All right, so February 3rd, finally, we get to court. Now, they delayed the jury selection along with all the other delays. So if what I'm reading is correct, jury selection will start on Monday. Now, there's 115 of you in here. Love you. Do you want to stream this trial and go through it if it's televised? I believe Court TV will be televising it. Totally up to you because I know these trials take a lot out of us. All right. So, February 3rd, let's listen to the article.
Megan Boswell trial scheduled for week of February 3rd.
I need to get a voice changer. This is definitely a voice changer.
By staff reports, the trial in state of Tennessee v. Megan Boswell is expected to begin the week of February 3rd, 2025. In Blountville before Judge Jim Goodwin. The defendant in this case is Megan Boswell. Megan Boswell is facing multiple charges in the death of her 15-month-old daughter, Evelyn Boswell, including felony murder, first-degree murder, and aggravated child abuse. Jury selection will begin Monday, February 3rd, at the Sullivan County Courthouse in Blountville. Boswell remains in jail under bail set at $1 million. She faces a total of 19 charges, including felony murder and aggravated child abuse, and could receive a sentence of life in prison without parole. It's been
The DP sounds pretty damn good to me. Sounds pretty good to me. Walking Dead, are you saying yes, please, to covering the trial or me getting a voice changer? Which one? Angie Baby said justice for Evelyn.
almost 5 years since little Evelyn Boswell went missing. Her mother was accused in 2020 of killing her toddler. Megan Boswell's case drew international attention after a search for 15-month-old Evelyn ended with the discovery of the child's body on family property. Evelyn was born in November 2018 to Megan Boswell, then 17, and Ethan Perry, then 19. Megan Boswell was living with her father and 2 younger siblings at the family compound in Bluntville, Tennessee. Perry had joined the military a year earlier after graduating high school. Evelyn was first reported missing in February 2020 by her grandfather, Tommy Boswell Sr., who told authorities he had not seen the child since early December 2019. According to investigators, Megan Boswell had been telling people Evelyn was with Perry. She said she did not report the girl as missing to police on the advice of her mother, Angela Boswell. Megan Boswell then changed her story multiple times.
And we're going to find out, like Leilani Simon, like Casey Anthony, as we're going through the trial starting next week, that Megan told multiple lies. It does make me scratch my head because Sullivan County is only a county away from Hawkins County, where Summer Wells, poof, vanished. The law enforcement in Sullivan County wasn't screwing with her. They arrested her just for lying to him. Okay? You cannot tell me that Candace Wells told the truth and nothing but the truth to Hawkins County, because had she, Summer Wells' case would be moving forward. You gotta be kidding me. That sheriff in Sullivan County, Jeff Cassidy, he wasn't screwing with her. He came out and did a press conference one day and he just kept shaking his head. He goes, I'm telling you, every time we talk to her, the story changes. But I will say it was not a bad move, her trying to blame her mom. Because, you know, her mom is no bueno. But her mom has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Investigators said. She told investigators Angela had Evelyn and was refusing to return her. Later, she said Angela gave Evelyn to an unnamed person, and Evelyn was safe and would have a better life with that person. In late February 2020, Megan Boswell told investigators Evelyn died after her boyfriend rolled over onto the child while they were sleeping, but that she did not know where her body was, police said. A few weeks later, law enforcement agents found Evelyn's body in an old playhouse that was originally built for Megan Boswell to play in when she was a child. Megan Boswell initially was taken into custody in mid-February 2020 on a charge of lying to authorities about Evelyn's disappearance. She was charged with Evelyn's death in August 2020. Megan Boswell is accused of killing her daughter under 2 separate legal theories: that the child's death resulted from an act of child abuse or from an act of child neglect. The indictment alleges Megan Boswell abused her daughter's corpse, a charge typically leveled when a body is moved and hidden in some manner.
Exactly, Mama Cat. I'm so happy you brought this up. That is the reason they have Evelyn's Law in Tennessee, which makes it a crime if you don't report your child missing. Very sad human stain that we have worldwide. There are laws on the books because some people just don't know how to friggin' act. Like they have Kaylee's Law in Florida. Because we remember that whole craziness with Casey Anthony. Hell, at least she pretended that she had a job. Megan acted like her mom kidnapped her child and like she was just dealing with her mom. But there's Kaylee's Law in Florida that if you don't report your child missing, you in trouble. The fact you have to have a law for that tells me all I need to know about society. Goodness, who would think you would even have to tell someone that? All right, now we go back about, I guess, 5 years. This is when the TBI agent confirmed that Megan Boswell, well, basically she lied.
Are still waiting on autopsy results to determine for sure if the body discovered in Sullivan County Friday night is that of 15-month-old Evelyn Boswell.
They knew exactly who it was. I totally understand what they're doing when they're like, we have to wait to actually make sure Evelyn's body wasn't exactly in the best shape at all. We're going to go through a little bit of the forensics today because we're going to hear a lot more during the trial if you all have the stomach to do it. Okay? Foil around her face, put into a trash can upside down with her head, her neck bent all the way back to where her little baby head was touching her back. That's how far down Megan stuffed her into that trash can.
I'm Josh Smith. While they await those findings, some new information about this case was revealed in court today in Blountville. We were the only television station to bring you the court appearance of Megan Boswell live on our website, WJHL.com.
Look at her. Always smirking. She still thinks she is so cute to boot, does she not? She really honestly does. And it just makes me sick. She is disgusting. By the way, we have a playlist on Evelyn Boswell. So if you would like to get caught up, please check it out. Or I think one of our handy dandy mods can put it in here. And then I'll pin it to the top. Look at me being efficient. Look at her smirking and strutting like she's John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
That's Megan Boswell entering the courtroom, the mother of the little girl who's now charged with false report after investigators said she gave some conflicting statements when she was questioned about the child while that child was missing. Testimony during today's hearing in Blountville provided some new details about the night investigators discovered the child's body. Kaylin Cluck was in the courtroom.
Megan Boswell's court appearance was about whether to...
Look at little Evelyn behind the newscaster's shoulder, taking her first steps. Let me tell you what, this baby is beautiful. Well, I can safely say was. I hate past tense, but okay. Evelyn was beautiful. Happy baby, smiling, laughing, playing with baby dolls. But because Chicken Shack Hunter, that's his name, said he wanted kids someday, but not anyone else's kids, all that was taken away.
To increase her bond. As part of it, TBI agent Brian Fraley shared testimony about what was found on Friday night. In one key moment, he also said that Megan Boswell has made potentially incriminating statements about Evelyn's death. 3 days after human remains believed to be her 15-month-old daughter were found, Megan Boswell appeared in criminal court. TBI agent Brian Fraley appeared as a witness, testifying about what was found on the property of one of Megan's family members on March 6th.
What was found upon that conducting that search?
There was a body, a child, approximately a year and a half old.
Results from an official autopsy for the body have yet to be released, but Fraley confirmed the age, size, and characteristics of the body matched the description of Evelyn Boswell.
Not to mention it came out later that what she described Evelyn as wearing all the way down to her little teeny pink socks was 100% accurate. 100%. Okay? Imagine giving that type of description, knowing the whole time that you're blaming your mom, You're still sleeping with Chicken Shack. That's what I call him. There he is on the screen. There he is on the screen. She gave up Evelyn for this thing on the screen. Why? Because his daddy bought him a building he sold chicken out of. And he turned on her real fast. You can't find it now. And this is way before my YouTube days. Because he spoke to the media, WJHL, I believe. I could be wrong. It's been a while. So the loser says, I don't know the child. I've never heard of the child. He got right in front of it to make sure he wasn't blamed. Yep. Gag-a-maggot.
Results from an official autopsy for the body have yet to be released, but Fraley confirmed the age, size, and characteristics of the body matched the description of Evelyn Boswell.
What else was found there?
The clothing, with the prior interview of Ms. Boswell, clothing described in that interview was the exact clothing that was found on this child.
What else was found there?
There was various child clothing, diapers, toys, that kind of thing that would belong to the child.
Fraley said Megan Boswell made several false statements to investigators during interviews, but the key moment came when Judge James Goodwin asked Fraley about inculpatory statements.
Did Ms. Boswell make any inculpatory statements with regard?
Yeah, she lied and lied and lied. Sharon said he doesn't own the Chicken Shack anymore because he's always in trouble with DUIs. Now, I remember in the Facebook group that I'm in, I think I'm in like 2 or 3 for Evelyn, because this case really got me. I mean, took my heart, squeezed it, twisted it, and then when it was done, kicked me in the stomach because it was so horrible. But in the Facebook group, there was a ton of people from the area that decided to go check out the Chicken Shack. Old Hunter ran out of chicken that day because so many people were eating. Sharon said she didn't eat at the Chicken Shack, but her cousin was friends with him and his family. Wow. Safe to say they're not too chummy anymore, but...
Inculpatory statements.
Did Ms. Boswell make any inculpatory statements with regard to the death of Evelyn Boswell?
You say culpatory? Yes.
Inculpatory statements are legally defined as incriminating or placing guilt or responsibility. And Megan's court-appointed attorney, Brad Sproles, argued for the bond to remain the same due to her lack of criminal history, but ultimately the judge raised it to $150,000.
Now it's $1 million. And let me tell you what, Tommy Boswell, Megan's dad, the one that turned her in, good going, Grandpa, even though people gave him hell for it. Well, how did he not know? Why didn't he do something before? Look at the Casey Anthony effect. That's what I call it. This has happened in other cases where the parent lies and lies and lies and lies. Oh, she's asleep right now. You can't talk to her. No, we can't FaceTime right now because she's asleep. She's with the babysitter. I'm at work. I'll bring her over. Tommy Boswell could easily have paid that $150,000 and gotten his daughter out. He said, hell to the no. You sit there. Because he loves his granddaughter.
All right, Kaylin, thank you very much. Sullivan County District Attorney General Barry Staub has told us the grand jury will hear Megan Boswell case next month, at which time additional charges, he says, could be filed against her. Megan Boswell's next court appearance, by the way, is scheduled for May 8th.
And they did. They tacked a bunch of other charges on, and they raised it They raised it to $1 million. All right, this is her brother who was very, very, very upset. And her dad talking about how they turned her in. And she tried to frame her mom and the mom's boyfriend, which was kind of smart in a way if you want to look at it from a, criminal aspect. Because, her mom's a real right piece of shit too. I mean, it was wild there for a year. Her mom was like stealing from the Walmart and getting chased down. She was hiding in a ditch and shit. Her and another dude went and robbed her own father, and her father dropped the charges on her, but not the other dude. Then the boyfriend, I called him Tattoo because he had a cross tattoo on his face. He was upset, not about the robbery, but that he wasn't included on getting to go to the pawn shop with her to sell all her dad's shit. So yeah. Then in the middle of all that, Hunter, Chicken Shack, who I believe knew, there's Hunter, knew Evelyn was dead. He loans, in quotes, an older Mercedes to Angela, that is Megan's mother, for her and Will, the boyfriend, to use. Now, why would you hire Megan at the Chicken Shack? Probably by noon of her first shift, you were already getting some off of her, okay? You already made it clear that you want children, just not hers. So with all of that going on, you loan Angela a Mercedes. Then, when shit goes down, they report it as stolen. And I'm like, you can't steal something that was loaned to you. He's in this deeper, and I'm telling you right now, with his family's influence and money, he has made a deal somewhere along the way. And we will be finding out soon. Because I've had my eye on Chicken Shack for a long time.
What do you guys think happened? Can you comment on that?
I don't know what happened, but I'm the one called DCS and got this started.
Okay, right there, Tommy said, I don't know what happened, but I'm the one that called DCS and got this started. Because he wasn't putting up with his daughter's lies anymore. Evelyn can't always be sleeping or at a babysitter.
And why did you call DCS?
Because my granddaughter, she never did come back, and I just want to know what happened to her.
When was the last time you had seen her?
Thanksgiving, up to his house. We all had Thanksgiving dinner.
So you hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
I know some reports say that it was like early December, so yours was a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving.
Had you been in communication with them at all? Like, I know you hadn't seen her, but what about talking?
No, I hadn't talked to her enough. I stayed busy, and I talked to my ex-wife, and I told her, I said, if Evelyn don't come home, I said, I'm going to do something about it. And she said, you better not do that. You're going to regret this.
What do you guys think?
Okay, I want you to hear that again. Because I believe Angela Boswell knew as well. I believe Chicken Shack knew. Will, the boyfriend's too dumb. He's way too dumb. But I believe Angela Boswell knew that Evelyn was dead. I believe Chicken Shack knew. Hence why he loaned the Mercedes to Angela. I could be proven wrong in trial when it gets going, but there's too many oddities. Listen at the end where Tommy Boswell gets a hold of his ex-wife saying, if Evelyn doesn't come home soon, I'm going to raise some holy hell. And she goes, you better not. You're going to regret it. You're going to regret it.
Happened. Can you comment on that?
I don't know what happened, but I'm the one called DCS and got this started.
And why did you call DCS?
Because my granddaughter, she never did come back, and I just want to know what happened to her.
When was the last time you had seen her?
Thanksgiving, up to his house. We all had Thanksgiving dinner.
So you hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
I know some reports say that it was like early December, so yours was a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving.
Had you been in communication with them at all? Like, I know you hadn't seen her, but what about talking?
No, I hadn't talked to her enough. I stayed busy, and I talked to my ex-wife, and I told her, I said, if Evelyn don't come home, I said, I'm going to do something about it.
He said, if Evelyn don't come home, I'm going to do something about it. Listen to what Angela said.
And she said, you better not do that. You're going to regret this.
Wow. Wow. All right, we're going to go through some forensics and then we're going to get to the latest. Now, this is tough to hear, again, from WJHL. If you need a break, I totally understand. Totally understand. It's beyond disgusting, okay, what they did. Yeah, thank you, Susan. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. And like Angela and her boyfriend Will were always going to jail. There's those winners right there. Because at one time, she was in the same county jail as Megan. Now, Will, he's on the right of your screen with that cross tattoo on his face. Yeah. So those two go to jail for stealing Hunter's car. Well, they know now it wasn't stolen. They tracked him all the way to North Carolina, and they drained a pond on Will, Mr. Tattoo. They drained a pond on his grandma's property, thinking that those two actually could have stolen the car and had Evelyn with them. It's insane. And they really have nothing to do with Evelyn's murder. The only one on trial is Megan. But I just think that some deals have been made because there was too many favors being done for Angela Boswell from Hunter, who is a selfish prick. Okay? A selfish prick. This is the dude that said, I want kids someday, just not someone else's. But then suddenly he has a bleeding heart and says, oh, I'll let your mom take my this Mercedes. No. This is called hush money.
Going to follow new developments after the woman accused of killing her 15-month-old baby appeared in court this afternoon.
At Megan Boswell's hearing today in Blountville, a judge heard arguments over whether certain photographs could be used as evidence and shown to jurors when the case goes to trial. Megan Boswell's accused of killing her then 15-month-old daughter, Evelyn.
15 months old. Britt, you are so right. It was a BMW. You all erase Mercedes. It was a BMW. Sorry, I'm used to saying Mercedes so much from Michael Vaughn's case. You are right. Thank you for correcting me. Absolutely. But look at her right there. 15 months old. Evelyn's 15 months old. And look at her. She still thinks she's cute. Well, she's in quite the notorious club. Monster Moms. Look at this. Sickening. They all have very dark eyes.
Over 2 years ago, now she faces 2 counts of felony murder and is accused of lying to investigators. Her daughter's remains were found on a family member's property.
In today's hearing, a forensic pathologist said Evelyn's...
First off, let's just look at Evelyn for a minute. Just look at that tiny little baby. pretty little round eyes, wispy hair, chubby cheeks, little chubby fingers, getting her little twofers in. But Megan wanted this instead. I can't make sense of it. I never will. Because her dad and her dad's girlfriend, unless they're married now, they would have taken Evelyn in a heartbeat.
Cause of death was asphyxia, and a TBI agent said her body was found inside of a trash can in a playhouse.
Ansley Daniel has been in the courtroom throughout the day monitoring the graphic testimony. Ansley, let's go through the developments that came out of the hearing today.
Well, Josh and Sarah,
I think Ansley Daniels is cute as a button. And what she heard in that courtroom, you can tell she's visibly upset. Amanda Kamar said, I thought this case already happened. Nope. 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 The trial starts on February 3rd. And we are going to be on top of it.
Well, Josh and Sarah, a lot of information came out of this 3-hour hearing today that detailed the photos of the night that Evelyn was found. Now, the purpose of today's hearing was to decide which photos could be used in trial. They weren't shown today, but were only described in testimony. That testimony, though, revealed that Evelyn died of asphyxiation or suffocation. The state did bring in a forensic pathologist to explain how these photos reveal her cause of death, along with how decomposed her body was when it was found. It explained that Evelyn was found inside of a playhouse, but that her body was wrapped in aluminum foil, then inside what is described as a thick fleece blanket.
Well, I'm just going to assume that the thick fleece blanket was used for the asphyxiation. Okay. Wrapping her in aluminum foil, I do not understand. But Megan's defense, which is her and Chicken Shack were in bed and actually rolled over on her and she suffocated, doesn't hold water. Because at 15 months old, Evelyn did not get her cute little feet out of her crib or out of their bed, which she shouldn't have been sleeping by the boyfriend anyway. Okay, enough said. She shouldn't have been sleeping by him. He had already told Megan he wants kids someday, but not hers. So she went and wrapped herself in foil. And how sick Megan is, this playhouse on family property was built for her, for Megan, by her grandfather. None of this was an accident. And she puts her with the fleece blanket and she's covered in aluminum foil. Wrapped, not covered, wrapped.
Her body was when it was found. It explained that Evelyn was found inside of a playhouse, but that her body was wrapped in aluminum foil, then inside what is described as a thick fleece blanket. She was then put in a trash bag and placed upside down in a garbage can.
What's really important for me was to show the placement of the foil and how tightly actually one can see the outline of the head and upper body with the foil being attached. So it's not crumpled foil.
Okay. The foil was so tight around little Evelyn's cute, cute, cute little face. Cute, cute, cute. That she said it wasn't even crumpled. They could see the outline of her face through the foil. Like when they removed the foil, not like the way I do, where I just crumple it up and I throw it away. They had to strategically, surgically almost, take this foil off of Evelyn's head and they could make out the imprint of her face. That's not an accident. That's not an accident, Megan.
And how tightly actually one can see the outline of the head and upper body with the foil being attached. So it's not crumpled foil from somebody, I don't know, barbecuing or doing something and then putting it next to the child. It's actually wrapped around the upper part of the child.
Look at her with that stupid mask on. Nobody else has one on. I mean, hell, her attorney's got his finger right under her nose, under his nose, taking notes like freaking Leilani Simon. Remember when she sat there and she was like taking notes? We don't know if it was hangman, tic-tac-toe, writing letters. I don't know what she was doing, but she's acting like she's really in on her defense. I got to write all this down. I'm surprised that she hasn't blamed Hunter yet.
The photos also show indentions on Evelyn's head and body from the foil and blanket and show that her body was in a position the pathologist said wouldn't allow her to breathe. The court did have to take a recess before getting deep into that testimony today because Megan Boswell hadn't seen the photos before today's hearing. She was visibly crying when she walked back into the courtroom this afternoon.
The pictures.
Okay, this is when she had the attorney, Brad Sproles, and he worked hard with her. But she got rid of him, kind of like Sarah Boone, and got another attorney. But she's saying she's visibly upset. Now work with me here. She's visibly upset because she'd never seen the pictures before. She was there live. Okay, she was live on the scene for what happened to her daughter. Was she visibly upset because she was scared of the evidence or because she is guilty for what she's done? These are the conversations I like to have with you. What made her so visibly upset? Is it kind of like a Candace Wells where she only cries for herself and she realizes, all right, they got me dead to nuts? Or is she truly troubled by what she saw?
Today's hearing, she was visibly crying when she walked back into the courtroom this afternoon.
The pictures that we went back and went through are very graphic and just very disturbing. And, you know, she reacted the way I would expect any of us to. You know, it was very upsetting. Unfortunately, I've had the opportunity to look at those pictures over and over again.
The photos weren't the only point of contention today. Court started by Boswell asking for a new attorney. She and Sproles told the judge that they are not on the same page when it comes to this case. And that all came to a head today as he said they weren't able to effectively prepare for this hearing. The judge denied that request, but said that could change depending on how they work together in the future. The judge only decided to omit a handful of photos from the trial. He said in his eyes, especially after today's testimony, they are all relevant when it comes to finding out what happened to Evelyn Boswell. In Blunteville, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Ansley, thanks. And Megan Boswell's next court date is scheduled for December 16th at 1:30. Her trial is set to begin February 6th.
And now it's the third. Well, to understand Megan, and by the way, no excuses for her behavior, you have to understand all the chaos in her life. But even with all that chaos between mom, dad, siblings, everything she had going on, and ex-boyfriend, I mean, all of it. None of it excuses what she did.
Story, this one out of Tennessee, involving a baby, 15-month-old baby Evelyn, who went missing. Took a while for the reporting of baby Evelyn gone missing. Eventually, her remains were found. But as we sit here tonight, still no one has been charged in her death. Seema Iyer has more tonight.
The grandmother of slain toddler Evelyn Boswell has been arrested again. Angela Boswell allegedly broke into her father's mobile home on Wednesday, March 25th. Police say surveillance video at her dad's house show Boswell and her companion, Larry Chad Fields.
Yep, Larry with the neck tattoo. And remember, her boyfriend Will with the face tattoo, his feelings were hurt that she took Larry to rob her dad instead of him. All right, so we're dealing with that, okay? These are the people that we don't invite to Thanksgiving. These are the people that you say, no, go to the river and watch firecrackers. You're not coming to my house, okay? But they're neck deep with each other. It's insane. Sleuth Station, thank you for the super sticker. You are amazing. And thank you, Paper Slut, for gifting a Crime Lines and Lies memberships. And look at Diana Howery. If you got a free membership, hey, keep it up. Keep it up. And thank those that gifted.
Entering and leaving with items that were later reported stolen.
According to the warrants, it would appear that Angela Boswell has a meth problem.
You think? Look at her in tattoo. Of course. If it's not cemented or chained down, they're going to steal it. It got to the point where pawn shops were like, no, not you, not today. Because I know you're not doing that type of house cleaning. No. Getting run out of Walmarts. Find them laying in ditches and everything. Yeah, she got a big math problem.
She's accused of breaking into her father's home, stealing guns and other property. The assumption is that property was going to be sold for drug money.
Questions surround Angela Boswell after her daughter claimed she was taking care of baby Evelyn when she went missing. Boswell, seen here in a North Carolina courtroom, has had several run-ins with the law since she was first picked up for possession of stolen property in February. This latest arrest only adds to the mystery surrounding baby Evelyn's death.
This evening, we received the information that led TBI agents and Sullivan County detectives to a property belonging to a family member of Evelyn's mother.
Okay, so they got the tip. All right, Sheriff Cassidy, they got the tip. A credible tip, not a I think so tip. A credible tip. There is a difference. I think Angela's the one that gave him the tip. They'd already searched under Megan's trailer. She goes by Maggie sometimes. They'd already searched under, inside, at the chicken shack, everything. So the tip to the family member that took them right to the trash can, who do you think gave them that tip? I'm going to assume it's somebody that was in jail at the time, like Angela Boswell, and knew what she was being asked about, she had nothing to do with. Because that tip was right on.
The toddler's remains were discovered last month in a shed on the property of her grandfather, Tommy Boswell Sr. He reported her missing February 18th and told investigators he hadn't seen the little girl since Thanksgiving.
Tommy hasn't really explained his delay in reporting it. What he told law enforcement was that at some point Megan had left his home with Evelyn, that his mother, Evelyn's great-grandmother, had babysitted the child for a little bit, but then that Megan left with the child, and then he later starts asking questions about where the child is and couldn't get a straight answer from either Megan or his ex-wife, Angela.
That revelation set off an intensive 17-day search for baby Evelyn. And curiously, her mother, Megan Boswell, was of little help, allegedly lying to law enforcement about her daughter's whereabouts.
Look at that cute little pink bow. Yeah, she lied over and over. My mom has her, and I've just been dealing with my mom. Kind of like Casey Anthony. When she said Zanny the nanny has Kaylee, and she's just been trying to deal with her. Just been trying to deal with her. She's been doing it in her own time. She had her own investigation going. Really? Really? Then she lies and she lies and she lies and she lies to police, Casey Anthony. Then you have Megan. I've just been trying to deal with my mom. That's it. I've just been trying to deal with her. Then she goes as far as to say that her mom took Evelyn to a family that could take better care of her. They're like, okay, all well and good. Who's the family? You can put your child up for adoption. Come on, she's 15 months old, not common, but we're not gonna gig you for that. Who's the family? We have to have eyes on this child. Britt said, so Evelyn's dad was not in the picture. Ethan is in the picture, and I have a feeling he will be testifying. When this was going on, Ethan and Megan basically broke up before Megan gave birth to Evelyn. Okay? Ethan signed up for the military, and he was active duty in Louisiana. That was another lie that Megan told. She said that Evelyn's dad came to get her. Well, FBI hightailed it down to where he's stationed in Louisiana, and they realize there's no way. No way. And this guy really breaks my heart because when all this is going on, his mom dies of cancer. And you can see a huge resemblance between Evelyn, Ethan, and Ethan's mom.
I was trying to protect my mom, maybe in hopes, oh, well, she'd just tell them where Evelyn was, but obviously she's not going to.
It was a tip that helped police recover baby Evelyn's body on March 6th.
During the search, investigators discovered human remains believed to be those of a 15-month-old girl.
She was dressed in a pink tracksuit and pink shoes, the same clothes she was last seen wearing.
Megan told them exactly what she had on. Exactly. All the way down. They said all the way down to the bow in her hair. Now, how sick is that? That she buys her a brand new outfit, fixes her hair, puts on her little socks, puts on her little pink shoes, because that was Evelyn's favorite color. She wanted everything pink, pink, pink. Put some pink hearts in here for Evelyn. There's 212 people in here. Hit that like and put a pink heart in. And she's like, well, that's the last thing I saw her in. Now, here's the thing. If your mother has her, her clothes would have changed many times. Many times. But the exact outfit she described, they found her in the trash can. Megan, who is local to this case, I would love for you to come up and talk to us. She said they had already searched the building a few days before, and then they got the tip to go look again. I still think that tip was from Angela. Because they were holding Angela's feet to the fire, and she's kind of like, hey, look, I might do a lot of met, if you know what I mean. I might shoplift. I might steal from my daddy and take it to the pawn shop. But no, nothing like this. Nothing like this. And they went straight to that trash can. It's disgusting.
Evelyn's mother was charged with making false reports to investigators, and grandmother Angela is being held on drug and aggravated burglary charges. The police have not named any suspects, and no one has been charged in connection with the baby's death.
This is a frustrating case on many levels.
Okay, obviously this is older because we know Megan has been charged and she's going to be facing the jury next week.
For that little baby, and you're stuck in the middle of all that mess that is going on. but ultimately she was found on her family's property. So that's where investigators have to be looking first. Let's bring in Seema Iyer, who joins us tonight. Seema, let's begin. Let's go through the whole family here. Let's begin with Mom. She's still locked up, right?
Megan is locked up. Grandmother Angela is also locked up. And when you just mentioned property, Vinny, that's a really important part of this story because it's more than property. This is a compound that, according to Jamie Satterfield of KnoxNews.com, you know, she was in that piece and we've had her on Court TV before. She's just the best of the best when it comes to legal journalists. And she is saying that everybody lived on this compound. So you have Megan and Tommy Jr., the kids, okay? And then you have Angela and Tommy Sr. And then you, according to what Jamie said, there may be other relatives that come and go because it's a really big piece of.
Okay, she's wrong about Tommy Sr. because his girlfriend's name is Ashley. Angela does not live on the property. Angela lives in jail or crashes at her dad's house in between stints at the jail. But Evelyn's great-grandmother was on the property. It's basically everybody lives around each other.
Property.
But there's absolutely a split here in this family, right? Because Grandma and Grandpa aren't together anymore, right? And didn't Grandpa got in trouble once for, I think, trying to run over or beat up someone that was sleeping with Grandma?
Okay, before we go on, okay, this entire family are the poster children.
He did. They put the D in dysfunction. Tommy got tired of laying cement all day and coming home and finding Angela Boswell high as a kite and sucking on dong. He was tired of it. So he chased an old boy out of the house and tried to run him over. You bet.
To not procreate, okay? They're all horrible. Tommy Sr. took Tommy Jr., his son, to go, I guess, beat up some guy that was fooling around with his wife, Angela.
Yeah, and now Grandma.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, look at that. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to mess around with her? Damn. Goodness.
Is in jail, but these charges have nothing to do with baby Evelyn.
Right.
But Megan can't get out. And I know Jamie Satterfield talked about that. Let's take a listen.
Okay.
Megan is in jail on a false charge report, and that's essentially for lying to the cops about where Evelyn was and when she went missing. That charge has not been upgraded. Certainly, comments from the district attorney indicate that at some point they're going to take this case to a grand jury. Tennessee is currently in a state of judicial emergency because of coronavirus. We are not able at this point to have grand jury proceedings, so it could be a matter of months before we see new developments in this case. The judge increased her bond. It was fairly low, and then once the remains were discovered, the judge increased the bond to, I think, about $150,000. But honestly, it could be $15,000, and Megan can't make it. The only person in that family right now with money is Tommy Sr., and there's been no indication that he intends to make Megan's bond.
No. Megan, I put the link in. I would love for you to come up. You don't have to be on camera. Come up and, chew the fat with me for a little bit. Because I want to hear about what's going on around the community, how you guys are getting geared up for this trial and everything. I'll put the link in again. So, Megan, if you can grab that, I would love to talk to you. Everybody all at once. Megan. But no, Tommy wasn't going to bail her ass out.
So, Vinny.
And Seema, Jamie Satterfield, who you spoke to, she was on that property, right? She was on the compound.
Oh, You are not going to believe how gutsy Jamie Satterfield is. Okay, so the child is reported missing February 18th. A few days after that, Jamie Satterfield decides to go to the property, and I guess it's open. It isn't. I think she describes it as being gated, but it's open, and she walks around and she sees, it's a vast, sprawling property. She sees evidence of a child having lived there, for instance, dolls, toys, etc. And then she is confronted by Tommy Sr. and Tommy Jr. And they basically threaten her. Now, what she tells us, which is very interesting, is that the time that they were confronting her, she was standing near the shed. That is the shed that on March 6th, baby Evelyn was discovered in. Inside that shed, also dolls, toys, etc. So then they basically run her off the property. She says, go ahead, call 911, and they call 911 to report her for dispatch, which I was surprised about, because if they clearly were not scared to call 911 when she was standing right there. But this was the confrontation. And so she told us that after the body was discovered, then she realized what she did was quite dangerous.
Yeah, pretty dangerous. Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't just wander up onto people's property, gated or not, and start poking around. No. And from what I have heard for, almost 5 years, because baby Evelyn was reported missing February 18th, 2020. We're in 2025 now. I can do simple math. Jamie Satterfield doesn't even really know these people. So yeah, you roll up on someone's property saying you're looking for a child or whatever you're doing. You get what you get, okay? And maybe she did know him. I don't know. Maybe Megan can clear that up.
The other part of this about Tommy Sr., though, Grandpa, he's the only one who reported the child missing to authorities. He's the one that picked up the phone.
Okay, but why? He hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving, February 18th. Please, Vinny, not a hero here, okay? Because I think perhaps it is
But
possible.
somebody called.
Hold on. Vinny, we don't even know how long this child has been dead, right? And he called February 18th. Why did he finally call? Was it in retaliation for Angela or Megan or something? And by the way, Tommy Sr. is the only one with money. Why isn't Tommy Sr. bailing out his kid, Megan? It doesn't make any sense. Also, Jamie Satterfield told us that Angela, for some reason, always makes bail. So who's paying her bail? Something is up with this family.
She's always got a new boyfriend. She always has a new boyfriend.
Always.
This is like, I've been covering the story for a month and a half. She's had 2 boyfriends already.
Well, that's admirable.
All right, Seema. Jamie Satterfield's interview. We're going to show it in long form coming up next.
Woo! Woo! It's a lot to take in. The timeline itself. This is also from Court TV. The timeline itself makes you go, what is going on? What and exactly what happened? They kept talking about this family of gypsies. A lot of people were blaming Tommy Boswell. A lot. And they're like, well, why didn't he say something before Thanksgiving? Well, I believe it's because he was getting the runaround from Angela. He could be a hero. He could be a zero. I do agree with Vinny. At least somebody called. Nobody was looking for her. Nobody was asking except for Tommy. He starts putting 2 and 2 together and he's like, okay, so it's not just me. No one has seen her. He tells his ex-wife, Angela Boswell, if she doesn't come home with Evelyn soon, I'm going to call DCS. And he was warned by Angela not to do that.
Congruent with what she's saying. That's number one. Number two, when we lie, we'll do things like we'll touch our eye. When we touch our eye, it tickles our brain and relaxes us. So when there's an increase in stress, increase in face touches happen. Sighing happens. We sigh, the average person sighs 5 times to 10 times in an hour. the average person. But when we start to lie and tell a story, you can even see this on Tonight Show when Jimmy Fallon would do a game where you have to pull an object out of a box and either tell the truth or lie.
We really don't need to hear this woman breaking down the body language because we already know Megan was lying. But we will get through this and get to the case. We really didn't need this explained to us, okay? We really didn't.
Google that and look at John Cena, and you'll hear just before he makes up his lie describing something, he goes, ah. And Jimmy busts him. He's like, dude, that's your lie. So when there's a sigh going on, it means there's more to the story going on. So there are a lot of different tells we're looking for and listening for. And I think the jury's going to get this right because she's all over the place.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Judy Ho is going to stay with us. Big thank you to Janine Driver. Coming up next, why did it take so long to report Evelyn missing?
I can answer that. I can answer it because she wasn't missing. She was not missing. Her primary caregiver, her mother, right there on the screen, knew exactly where she was. There was no panic. There was no, I'm looking for Evelyn. Nothing like that. You don't call on a panic or look for something when you know where it's at or someone. She knew. She's the one that wrapped her daughter in aluminum foil and put her in a trash can upside down and stuffed her in there so hard that the back of her head was touching her back. And she would have never called. Never. Had Tommy not called and raised hell with his daughter and his ex-wife and all of them, hell, it would be another Harvey Montgomery. It'd be time to go to school. And everyone going, is Evelyn in school? I mean, come on. Megan said that Evelyn's so-called mother was incarcerated when they told her they found Evelyn and she was dead. She didn't even shed a tear. But Brad Sproul said she reacted the way that any mother would when you tell them that their child is dead. Sure she did.
This case is unlike anything I've ever been involved in. We've had a child that's not been seen by the parents or certain family members in almost 2 months.
Widow or mastermind behind a murder.
Monica Cimentelli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Famed celebrity hairstylist Fabio Cimentelli.
Prosecutors say she and her lover killed Fabio to collect a big life insurance policy.
The defense may say she's a bad woman, but she wouldn't be involved in a murder.
It's a whodunit Hollywood story, but will there be a twist?
Hold on, I just got a friend request from Shay. Shay, if I put the link in, do you want to come up? You don't have to tell people who you are, but I know you know a lot about this case. I'm going to send you a message real quick. All right, it says, okay, I'm sending you the link, Shay. Can you, oh, it said Ann. Can you come on panel? No camera needed. And we'll protect her identity.
Sailing, and I always think of the worst, but we just got to hope and pray little Evelyn's okay and we can get her back as soon as possible. This case is unlike anything I've ever been involved in. We've had a child that's not been seen by the parents or certain family members in almost 2 months.
Think about that last statement by the sheriff for just a second. Let it sink in. 15-month-old, right? A 15-month-old. When you have a family and there's a 15-month-old in the family,
That baby, that child, that little girl is the star of the show.
Mm-hmm.
She is the center of the universe for a family. And this child is missing for almost 2 months, and no one's like, hey, where's the baby? Where's little Evelyn? I want to give her a hug. Like, what's going on here? What is going on here? Here's the original Amber Alert, and this is when we first started covering this story. As soon as we saw this, Evelyn has blonde hair, blue eyes, stands 2 feet tall, weighs 28 pounds, was last seen wearing a pink track suit, pink shoes, and a pink bow.
This is one of the most gut-wrenching cases I've ever gone through. When I think about the preparation for the murder, pink tracksuit, pink shoes, pink bow. So she gets those beautiful blue eyes and chubby cheeks. It's rumored she gave her a bath before. Gets her all dressed up to ultimately stuff her in a trash can.
She was entered as a missing child on Tuesday, February 18th, 2020, but was reportedly last seen on December 26th, the day after Christmas, 2019. Brings us to the next question in our investigation. And this is an important one. This is the one that got everyone so riled up. Why did it take so long to report Evelyn missing? Right? Well, if someone's responsible for her death, I can understand that, right? But this is a beautiful little girl. Where is everybody? Still with us, neuropsychologist Dr. Judy Ho. And joining us, reporter and anchor for WCYB. She has covered this story and this case since the beginning. Kristen Kwan is with us. All right, Kristen, let me begin with you.
That's actually a really cool professional name, Dr. Ho. I dig it. I dig it. Could you imagine your last name being Ho and you're a professional? Yeah, Dr. Ho. I love it.
You, like, what is going on? Like, there's a family here, right? I mean, there's a father, I believe he's in the military, but there's family members around, uncle, grandma, grandpa, I don't know who else is in her life. What was going on here for almost 2 months?
Yeah, so you can imagine this case, when this all happened, we were tracking down every person that might have come in contact with Megan just to find out that exact question. What exactly happened to Evelyn and who knows where she is? So we were trying to talk to everyone, her mom, her dad, grandma, grandpa, just to see what kind of answers we could find. When we spoke with Megan, she told us that the reason that she didn't report her missing for so long was because she knew who had her. And she was afraid that if she went and told that person, oh, give me back my baby, they would vanish with her forever.
Dr. Judy Ho sounding a lot like Zanny the Nanny from a case I covered many years ago down in Florida. Kelly Marie Anthony went missing. That was 31 days. And then finally, grandma and grandpa put their foot down and said, that's it. Where is Kaylee? And when Casey couldn't answer the question, they called. It seems like something similar happened here because it was grandpa who ends up calling. It wasn't Megan. This like, what's the psychology here to just like people aren't going to notice that a 15-month-old beautiful child is missing?
Right, and some of what we don't know is what were the conversations in between these 2 months between Megan, the parents? Did they talk? Did she make up stories in between and say, oh yeah, she's just playing in the backyard, so you can't see or talk to her now? I don't know how many times they may have attempted to check on her and how many times Megan may have said things that sounded reassuring, at least on the phone, that seemed like plausible things that could essentially explain why Megan wasn't able to bring her child to the phone so that the grandparents could actually hear her voice. But I'm glad that eventually the grandparents called. Unfortunately, it took 2 months. And then when Megan was interviewed on the other side, she had this story that didn't really make sense, that she knew who had her child. So that's enough for you as a mother? Like, that's enough? What about everything else? How often are you talking to your own child if that was even a true story? And
tell you what, she really turned on the waterworks. And when people yell about Tommy and say he's no hero here, I can't say that I talk to my dad every day. Okay? I can't say that he would see his grandsons every day or even once a week. Some families only get together at Thanksgiving. Some are like, no, 4th of July is our time. Everyone gets together. All right, see you next year type of thing. It is odd considering that they all lived on the same property. Very spread out. Indeed, very spread out. You would think that the adults would have had more of an eye on Megan, knowing that she has a little baby girl, and they already knew that she was ill-equipped to take care of herself, let alone another tiny human being. One would think that they are not responsible for Evelyn's murder. We will definitely find out more when the trial starts next week. I still think that the exact location of Evelyn was handed over by Angela. Because when Angela Boswell was in the hot seat with detectives, and she's being accused of stealing the car, which she knew had been loaned to her by Chicken Shack Hunter. And then they're talking about kidnapping, possible murder. She's being confronted with all these things that her daughter said. Then suddenly, you might want to check a trash can. It's in my daughter's playhouse. You might want to check there. Because boom, all of a sudden, she's out of jail. Of course, she went back a couple of times. She can't stay out. She's a frequent flyer. You know those people that only stay at Hilton's and they have the Hilton honors points? She has Sullivan County honors points. She loves it there.
this, I think, is an indication of how young she is, in terms of her mental age. Like, she's essentially a child herself trying to make up a story. She knows that she's in trouble.
In trouble? She's not just in trouble. She's in jail. In trouble is showing up late to work without a good excuse. In trouble is calling in to work on Mondays, constantly acting like you got the shits. Out of curiosity, and if you don't want to answer, I totally understand. Don't dox yourself. How old were you all, those that are parents, when you had your first child? Because the age defense does not hold water with me. Teresa said, who actually found that precious baby? Law enforcement. Susan said 16. Sonia, Charity, 22. Terry, 18. Whoa. Y'all are blowing up the chat. Sarah, 20. Doobie, 19. I was 18. Yeah. Stacy, 15. None of your babies were in the trash because of Chicken Shack.
And she's trying to get out of it, and it's a very juvenile story.
Yep. Younger than Casey Anthony. I think the lies are a little less sophisticated. Casey was very quick on her feet. She could lie super fast. Kristen, what do we know about the living arrangements here for everyone? I understand there's some sort of a family compound that has homes and structures on it where some people are living. Megan, Evelyn, what was their situation? Who else was around?
Yeah, so it kind of seems like Megan kind of bounced around places, but the family compound that you're talking about would be her father's place. So he owns a company in Sullivan County, and he has a house, and then he also has, multiple places where he keeps equipment and things like that. So it's a fairly, I would say a rather large compound. Where he has multiple structures on that compound, including sheds and things of that nature. And then her mother lives, in a separate place and had a boyfriend at the time. And so it was kind of hectic when we were covering this because, like I said, we were trying to track down anyone that might know Megan or know Evelyn. And so we were kind of running all over the county to try to figure out where she was staying at the time.
Yeah, Dr. Judy Ho, it does seem there was some level of chaos in the home. Now, as you mentioned, Evelyn is young. Now, we just saw, video of mom. She's wearing orange for a reason because she has run-ins with the law all the time. Police had been to the compound.
That's a nice way of saying it, Vinny. She has run-ins with the law all the time. Yeah, she does. She can't stay out. Robbing her elderly daddy. Who knows how much stuff she sold from Tommy. Shoplifting at the Walmart. She's up there with Candace Wells. She is not even allowed in a Walmart parking lot. That's how easily they can recognize that thing.
Issues there. So there was some level of chaos in the family. So from your perspective, how does all that play into everything that happened here? The chaos that Evelyn may have been subjected to as she's growing up and now trying to raise a child within that chaos that sort of continued.
Well, chaos is unfortunately a huge deterrent to healthy development for babies and for toddlers because they need consistency and patterns to be able to thrive. So not being able to really understand what's going on and not seeing patterns around her, I'm sure that was very difficult for Evelyn in her early years for the times that she lived. And I think even for the mom, the fact that she had all of this chaos around her, she's trying to figure it out. It kind of feels like she's trying to run from one crisis to the other.
I just can't. I get what Vinny's getting at on court TV. Obviously, this was not my interview. But the head petting, I can't handle it. She had all this chaos around her, and she's young. What about Chicken Shack? What about the fact that she was all about her daughter until she met this dude? I'm not saying he did anything to Evelyn, but that was the change in her when she decided, hey, I haven't got to have my fun. I'm a young mom. And I don't mean getting a babysitter and going out with your friends, but a toxic home and chaos and age are not pre-indicators for murder. Sorry, they're not. No.
And it's a very, very sad story. It's a very tragic story because
I'm only sad for Evelyn. Yes, it's a sad story. Yes, it's a tragic story. I do not see Megan as a victim. Look at that face. Look at your screen. Look at it.
Essentially, I think this was going to end up in some kind of disaster. This is actually the worst disaster it could have ended up in, but it could have ended up in CPS at some point. There could have been Child Protective Services involved at an earlier stage. And in some ways, I wish that they were involved in an earlier stage because maybe this death would have been prevented. But I think that eventually she was going to run into trouble with Child Protective Services or the police or some type of major consequence. And Evelyn probably would not have ended up in her care anyway.
Yeah. And we're looking at these videos. I think some of these videos were actually shot by Evelyn. Not by Evelyn, by Megan, Evelyn's mom, of these cute little videos. And that's the part that shocks you. How can anyone even consider bringing?
That's always been me. That's always been me with this case. You go from putting her in all these cute little pink outfits, taking her to the fair, pushing her around in the wagon. You go from all of that, all the videos, her first steps, her mom clapping, but we saw it with Susan Smith. We saw it with Casey Anthony. Hell, even Letitia took cute pictures of Gannon. It makes you wonder, where does the snap come from? I really don't care about their psychology. I'm serious, I don't. I want them just off the streets, not in society. They can't sit with us. But it does make a person wonder, how do you go from pampering and loving your child to meeting this dude that says, I want children someday, just not other people's children? And she's like, well, okay. Did she need to continue sleeping with him to work at the chicken shack? None of it's an excuse.
Harm to a child, to that child, to your own child.
Yeah.
Dr. Judy Ho, thank you so much for all your insight and help. Kristen Kwan from WCYB is going to stick around. We have more questions for her. Up next, I just mentioned Casey Anthony, didn't I? Is the case against Megan stronger than the case against? Little baby Evelyn lived with her single teenage mom, Megan Boswell, in Sullivan County, Tennessee. She was being raised with the help of her grandparents on the family compound. But in February of 2020, Evelyn was reported missing by her grandpa. Her mom cried on TV looking for her baby, then was arrested for misleading police. Things then changed dramatically in the case when Evelyn was found dead on the family compound. And now Megan has been charged with first-degree premeditated murder. When we first started covering the story, the first thing I was thinking about, that woman from Central Florida. I'm going to use her name. I have been using her name during this program, Casey Anthony, because of this. The initial similarity is so striking that a small child is gone and nobody says anything. In the case of Casey Anthony, it was 31 days before that 911 call was made by Cindy and George after Casey could not answer the question, where is Kaylee?
Very similar. We have said on this show many, many times, do these bitches take a page from the other's playbook? I always look at Letitia Stout and I'm like, did she follow the Terry Horman playbook regarding Kyron? Did she? I look at Adam Montgomery and Kayla in the case of Harmony. I'm like, is Casey Anthony writing manuals for y'all? What's going on? Then there's Megan. Did you study it? Did you watch the Lifetime movie? And this case is a much stronger case because they have a cause of death. They're not seeking the death penalty. Jeff Ashcroft messed up Casey Anthony's case to hell and back. That's why she's out and free. And now living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee with her new boyfriend. He left his wife and children for Casey Anthony. Yeah. As Muscle says all the time, they walk amongst us. They walk amongst us.
And that brings me back to what happened in that case. If you'll recall, the verdict shocked me a little bit. Those of you who were watching me that day probably didn't recognize me. I didn't recognize myself. I'd never been so floored because I was there day in and day out. The evidence. Who lies about their child? If your child is missing, who does nothing? Who would let their child just rot somewhere? And that was basically the defense. And then you know how it turned out. I'm going to close my eyes for a second, but I'll remind you.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated child abuse, verdict as to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated manslaughter of a child, verdict as to count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. So say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson.
Oh, I was pissed. I just wasn't shocked because when they went to Jose Baez and said, okay, we're going to offer her second-degree murder, they even tried manslaughter, and he said, no, you're charging her with first degree, and you want the death penalty. That's what we're doing. Because he knew that they couldn't prove first-degree murder. And they couldn't. But had Jeff Ashcroft gone for second degree manslaughter or something like that, she would have served time. Probably still be in there. Because she's not a likely candidate for parole. That's what happens when some of these people who are looking for a higher political office overcharge.
As to the charge of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, verdict as to count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer as charged in the indictment. So say we all, dated Orlando, Orange County, Florida, this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson.
Is it over? It's over. Okay. Thank you. They told me it's over. She lied again. And many of us believe that was sort of like the foundation of a strong case. What mother is going to lie about that? This is the most important thing in your world, in your life. The child, your child. So after that verdict, some reflection and trying to figure out what happened. And I just have looked at every case differently since that point forward in my career. And then another level of skepticism about the strength of evidence. And that brings us to the next question.
And I'm so glad that he's bringing this up. The strength of evidence. Kelly is asking just me a question. She said, order charged, overcharged. Now, I would have had zero problem with Casey Anthony getting the DP. I would have had zero problem with life without parole. But you have to have the evidence to back it up. And they didn't have it. They just didn't have it. Had they gone for second degree and then added on all the other charges, she would still be in jail. But I believe in this case, not that I'm a prosecutor, they got it all. They got the whole kit and caboodle. They got Megan's lies. They've got text messages between her and Chicken Shack. Matter of fact, that one chick, can't remember her name now, brought the detectives to a grocery store where people would put their cell phones in and they would get cash out. They had to get into this machine and find Megan's phone. And that was just 5 years ago. Because old Megan wasn't on the cloud, if you know what I mean. But she sold that phone and got another one. I have a feeling they found a lot on that phone. Sharon said it was at the Kroger's. Thank you. Oh, the evidence is stacked up in this one.
In our investigation, is the case against Megan stronger than the case against Casey? Because I know how that one turned out. Is the case against Megan for the murder of little Evelyn stronger than the case against Casey that was unsuccessful for the murder of Kaylee Marie? Okay, I need some help. Oh, we're bringing in the heavy hitters. Joining me, former chief judge in Florida. You recognize him, folks. He presided over the Casey Anthony murder trial, America's judge, Belvin Perry, and criminal defense and family law attorney in Western Tennessee, Courtney Simmons is with us.
I wouldn't say old Belvin is America's judge. I look more at old boy in the Murdaugh trial. He was great. He was great. Not gonna lie. He was fair. Didn't let anybody get away with shit. Hell, he should be an NFL referee. Belvin, on the other hand, let Jose Baez do some things, bring up some things that I don't think they should have done.
Great to have you both here. Let me start with the lies. Judge, I thought the lies were the foundation against Casey. Are the lies more incriminating in this case? Do you think they'll carry more weight?
The answer to that, Vinny, is yes. She lied at least 4 times. When you take the lies and apply those to the death, in this particular case, you have a cause of death, a fixation. You have someone that puts someone in a trash can, suffocates them by the use of a blanket and aluminum foil, which the medical examiner will more than likely elaborate on the details surrounding how that child died and how that child suffered. So you have lies plus concrete evidence dealing with the cause of death.
You bring up a great point, Judge, and I want to put this up on the screen. This is from TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Special Agent David Gratz. We found the remains inside of a building that was referred to by the family as the Playhouse. It was out behind what I would call a storage building on the property, and what I would call a storage building, and the Playhouse was built by the defendant's Megan's grandfather as a playhouse for her when she was a child. So the playhouse that it was Megan's playhouse where Evelyn was found. And it was Megan's grandpa who had built that on the family property. And Judge, what's significant to me about that is, one, comparing this to the Casey Anthony case, is that when Kaylee Marie, by the time that police finally found her, after Roy Kronk calls a second time months later about finding the remains of baby Evelyn are in much better shape and tell more of a story than little Kaylee's remains told.
Absolutely. The autopsy tells us a lot about how she died, about how she suffered. And as I previously stated, those factors were missing in the Anthony case. It was dry bones. There was nothing for the medical examiner to say except that she died by unnatural causes.
Right. So here,
Okay. So all the medical examiner could explain to the jury about Kaylee Anthony, horrible, is that she died by unnatural causes. They could not point to homicide. So you can't put someone to death without a definitive cause of death. As far as Evelyn goes, she was wrapped in aluminum foil. She was suffocated, asphyxiation, and the back of her little head was pressed down so far to that trash can that, well, it's a wonder it didn't snap her neck.
It's a stronger case for murder because of the remains. Then you look at where she was found, to draw that nexus that you would get rid of a body in a place that was your place. Like, this was her place on the property. This was Megan's playhouse. It had nothing to do really with anyone else in the family. So that's another connection versus where Kaylee was found, which was close to the house, not on the property, but in a random place in the woods, just off the road, around the corner from the house.
But remember, Vinny, there was evidence presented where a dog found the smell of death near the playhouse in the backyard of the Anthony's residence, and there was a shovel that was found where it looks like she attempted to bury her by the playhouse in the backyard.
Wow. Another similarity between these two. There are so many. The delay in reporting. Now, I want to put this up on the screen again. This is from this TBI special agent. This is an alleged somewhat of an admission, but not really. She did say she was aware that Evelyn was dead. However, she told the story.
Okay, I'm going to pause that right there. She actually told the detectives that she knew Evelyn was dead. She did say she was aware that Evelyn was dead. However, she told the story that it resulted from either her or Hunter Wood, that's Chicken Shack, rolling over the child while sleeping. But she did not know the location of Evelyn's body. Yeah, she did. And someone else knew. So either when they brought the dogs out, the dogs gave them a tip and they got a warrant to go inside that playhouse. We'll find out soon. Or Angela Boswell said, you might want to check inside the playhouse.
Story that it resulted from either her or Hunter Wood rolling over the child while sleeping. That was her boyfriend, but she did not know the location of Evelyn's body. This now sounds almost exactly like Casey's defense. Accidental death, and I don't know what happened to the body afterwards. And, the jury didn't convict Casey, even though she knew that her daughter was dead and moved on with her life, but claimed she didn't know where the baby was, much like Casey's defense argued inside that courtroom.
I would be shocked and amazed if this jury, somewhere in the recesses of their mind, would think of the Casey Anthony case. And there, more than likely, is going to be a different result.
So what you're telling me, Judge, and you have presided over these cases, you have tried these cases for so many years, that the case against Megan strikes you on its face as being stronger than the case against Casey Anthony.
While the Anthony case was strong, this case is significantly stronger. These jurors are not going to leave their common sense on the courthouse doorstep when they enter.
And what do you think are the potential?
I personally thought that the Casey Anthony case was real strong, just not strong enough for first degree and the death penalty. That's a big boo-boo on the prosecution. But in this case with Evelyn, and I am really, really, really hoping for the ultimate justice for this beautiful little girl. Really hoping for it. It seems to me that they have it all. Just from what little bit we're hearing.
Problems or pitfalls or traps that the prosecution can fall into here? If you were going to advise the prosecution in this case, what would you say to them going into this?
Well, number one, they're going to need to try to explain the conduct of this young lady during the time of missing. They're going to also have to debunk the finger pointing that she did towards the father, towards this mythical neighbor, towards her mother. So in other words, tear down all possible defenses that they may put up. And she's going to also more than likely point the finger at someone else. But, you know, you have the legion of lies, and they're going to have to point out she can't be believed. The defense can't be believed. That the evidence is strong in this case, and the evidence is unrefuted.
All right, the judge is going to stay with us. We had some technical difficulties with Courtney. Sorry for that. We'll get her back on another day. Still to come, as the judge is saying, is Megan going to point the finger at her family?
I think she's going to point the finger at Hunter, because Hunter left her high and dry when she went to jail. The most upset she got, according to news articles, is when she was confronted with his Instagram and he was out at the lake on a jet ski with a new girl.
And that led TBI agents and Sullivan County detectives to a property belonging to a family member of Evelyn's mother in the 500 block of Muddy Creek Road in Blumpville. During the search, investigators discovered human remains believed to be those of a 15-month-old girl. The remains will be sent for an autopsy and a positive identification. At this time, the investigation is in the very early stages. There is a lot of work left to be done. And right now, this is the extent of what we can provide today.
You could tell from just listening to the sheriff how difficult this was for him. And that, I mean, this is their job. This is what they sign up to do. But these cases are tough. You're looking for a child. You want to find the child. And they found a body instead. So it's on family property. So I want to take a moment just to go through some of the people in Evelyn's family, people who are in the life of this 15-month-old child. Evelyn, obviously 15 months old, 2 feet, 28 pounds, beautiful blonde hair, blue eyes. Megan is the teenage mother of Evelyn. Okay, she's the one who's been charged with first-degree premeditated murder. Ethan Perry is Evelyn's dad. Megan originally said that Ethan had Evelyn, but it was determined that he was stationed in Louisiana on active duty, so he was eliminated as any suspect. Tommy Boswell Sr., this is Evelyn's grandpa, Megan's father, reports Evelyn missing. He's the one who picked up the phone in February, tells police he hasn't seen her since December of 2019, has a history of domestic violence incidents with Angela Boswell, owns the family compound where he and his son operate a business, and Evelyn's remains were found there. Angela Boswell is Evelyn's mom. Lengthy criminal, Evelyn's.
And Ethan was nowhere around. Nowhere around. And you can see the resemblance between Ethan and his daughter, Evelyn. That's Ethan. Evelyn is a spitting image of him. Spitting image. And Megan, at first, tried to blame him.
Grandma, Megan's mom, lengthy criminal record, was arrested with her boyfriend on charges of theft over $2,500 after the vehicle they were driving in was reported stolen. That boyfriend is William McLeod. This is Angela Boswell's boyfriend, arrested in Tennessee, being accused of fleeing town in a stolen car with Angela, lengthy criminal record. And all of this was a big part of the story because originally Megan was saying that her mom had Evelyn. Okay. All of this brings us to the next question in our investigation about this upcoming trial. Is Megan going to point the finger at her family? A lot of people here, some of them have some sort of history, but obviously they are part of her family and in the life of little Evelyn. Still with us, former Chief Judge in Florida, the Honorable Belvin Perry. And joining us, reporter and anchor for WCYB. She's covered the case since the beginning, Kristen Kwan. Kristen, how would you describe the family dynamics here?
Absolutely chaotic. You know, when we first started covering this, like I said, we were going all over the place trying to track down whoever we could that would potentially talk to us about when the last time they saw Evelyn. And it was hard to find some of the family members. Some of the family's members didn't want to talk to us, but it was definitely chaotic. I think I remember William McLeod yelling at us to get away from him. So the whole time that we were covering this, it was just kind of a tumultuous experience for sure.
I want to read this, Judge. This is from the Knoxville News Sentinel, giving us some background on this family. Angela Boswell was just 16 when she gave birth to Tommy Boswell Sr.'s first son, Tommy Jr., in '93. In March of 2001, Angela gave birth to the couple's second child, Megan Boswell, Evelyn's mother. Angela married Tommy Boswell a few months later. By 2009, the couple was back in Sullivan County, settling with the kids in a manufactured home on a plot of land on Muddy Creek Road, but little harmony inside of those walls, court records show. In March of that year, Tommy Boswell Sr. told deputies his wife attacked him, stabbing his neck with an ink pen and struggling with their then 14-year-old son, Tommy Jr., as he tried to rescue his dad.
Yeah, we don't stab people with ink pens. Nope. So some people will say this is learned behavior by Megan. No, I mean, not really. Her mother basically just likes the rugs, if you know what I mean, and likes beating up on Tommy. The Big M is totally different. Totally different.
So, Judge, I think the family that Megan is in and that Evelyn is in is a little different than the Anthonys. I mean, George Anthony is a former police officer. Yeah, they had their issues. I think they're all connected to Casey. But this family has had issues with law enforcement. Does that make it easier for Megan to point the finger at someone in her family?
Absolutely, Vinny. She's going to point the finger at her father, Tommy Boswell. He has a long history of domestic violence. She's going to also point the finger at her mother and her mother's paramour. So remember, Casey pointed the finger at George and her brother, talking about they had both sexually assaulted her. So they're going to muddy the waters up as much as possible. And we should not forget, there is an ongoing feud between the defense attorney and the defendant, Megan, about what witnesses to use. She almost tried to get him thrown off the case. So it's going to be finger pointing at its utmost, because other than that, what defense does she have?
Exactly. So, Kristen, this is a long time coming. We're going back to 2020 for all of this, and it's now 2025. Do we have a better idea now from things that have happened as to specifically what the defense may be doing at trial?
Yeah, so, you know, we've also been covering every single court appearance that she's had since this all happened. So it's been years now. I think I've attended pretty much every one of them, but maybe two. So there's definitely things that they're throwing out there. The defense at first wanted to try to get a change of venue, all kinds of different things. But I do think that they will be looking at the family members for sure. Just because Megan has mentioned her mother before, that her mother was supposed to babysit Evelyn. So I think that the fingers could definitely be pointed towards Angela, but I also wouldn't rule out the boyfriend as well, Hunter, who she said, may have rolled on top of Evelyn.
Bingo. Bingo. The strategy can't be Angela Boswell. The strategy can't be William McLeod. The strategy can't be Tommy Boswell or Tommy Boswell Jr. or the grandma. The strategy could easily be, we're going to blame Hunter. So he better be ready to testify about everything he knows. And I'm sure he's been thoroughly interrogated. And I'm not going to be surprised when we're going through this trial if we don't hear some proffer agreements were handed out.
So I could see him being brought into all of this as well.
Wow, a lot at play here. All right, Judge, before we run out of time here, Casey Anthony obviously did not take the witness stand. Do you think Evelyn's mom, Megan, I keep mixing up the names here, Evelyn's mother, Megan, do you think she takes the stand?
Absolutely not. It would be suicidal for her to take the stand and be subject to cross-examination. The prosecutor will have a field day with her.
And Kristen, we have about 15 seconds here. How does she look these days? How much older does she appear? Because she looks so young when little Evelyn went missing.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely looks, I think, older. Of course, it's been a number of years now. Her hair is definitely longer than it was. I don't think it doesn't look like she's had it cut since she's been in jail. But, it's been a long time in the Sullivan County Jail. So it'll be interesting to see, how she looks come trial day.
Absolutely. Kristen Kwan.
And there we have it. K-Town, New Jersey said, didn't Hunter say he never met that beautiful baby? Yep. He said he didn't know the child. He didn't know the child at all. I have a hard time believing that. I'm not saying that Hunter is the one that killed Evelyn, because they seem to have a lot of forensics that point straight to Megan. But I do think they're going to find out that he lied. Lying to a reporter, not a big deal. You lie to YouTube, not a big deal. Lying to the police, different story. So we'll see if he takes a stand. I believe jury selection starts on Monday and trial gets going on the 6th. I'm sure that will change. Megan is a real piece of work, though. And all the family problems in the world don't justify harming your child. They don't. But I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. Look at this, Sophia. You guys were just throwing out the memberships today. 5 Crime Lines of Lies memberships. Diana threw out 15. Paper Slut put a membership in. Sleuth Station donated to the channel. You guys are the best. You are. And I mean, here this is. This case is 5 years old. That's why I say all the time, you guys are always here for the right reasons. You're not going to change my mind. You're not. You guys are the best friends a YouTube piece of shit like me could have. I'll tell you that story later. But thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best chat and best community on these hectic YouTube streets. Love ya.